So it's time for a quick seedling update. I'll show you all the seedlings that I've got in module trays, and then I'll show you just a few samples of some of the new plantings in the polytunnel and outside, and I'll take you home and I'll show you what we've got going on in the grow room. So let's start with the Alliums. So first up, these are the summer leeks. Got quite a lot of these planted already. These are the winter leeks. And then we've got Brussels sprouts, red and green. And the next tray of turnips and radish, I do 2 trays a month. And then some salad onions and calabrese and cauliflowers, kales, all different sorts of kales and colettes, and more kales at the end there. We have a lot of kale, and colettes are our favourite for winter. Brassica greens, and then carrots. They're one of the crops that we eat pretty much every day, both cooked and in salads. And so I've just got some germinating in the ground in the polytunnel. Next batch is here, just knocked over because I've just watered them. And then I've got my successions. I do 2 tubs a week at the moment. And then these are the ones that we're almost ready to harvest. I have taken a few of these just to try them, and they are absolutely gorgeous. But we're really holding out because we've still got a few August sown ones still to go. These are November sown. And then this is a little sample of the polytunnel beds. So here we've got summer leeks interplanted with turnips, and there we've got beetroot, and that is interplanted, or will be interplanted, with parsnips. And these beetroot are not being left to mature because I need the space here for my tomatoes, but they are just going to give me some baby beets in a few weeks' time, and then the parsnips will continue to grow on. I know it's a bit crazy growing parsnips in a polytunnel, but somebody did say that it works really well, so I thought, well, I shall give it a try, because it would be nice to have some parsnips in October when this bed is cleared and replanted with the winter crops. And the baby French beans, they've settled in well. Climbers, these are Cobra, they will be up at the top of here in a couple of weeks. And then these are my little salad carrots. There's a little trial that I'm running to see whether I can get salad carrots in these hanging baskets, and I'm quite hopeful actually. They're looking quite nice at the moment. And here's an example of one of the salad beds interplanted with spring onions, January sown, and they're looking quite nice. Spring onions are one of our most important crops. We eat a bunch of spring onions like this every single day of the year pretty much. We have loads of spring onions from our August sowing and September sowings, all kind of interplanted in the polytunnel beds, which is heaving with stuff at the moment. And then the celery that I planted, I think it was about a week ago now, that's really settled in well. I do need to clear a bit of space for it underneath that calabrese, but apart from that, it's doing great. And then these are my earliest peas. So they're Mange 2 at one end and Sugar Snap at the other end. Kind of just taking up a bit of space at the back of this bed of turnips and radish. We just started harvesting the turnips actually, absolutely gorgeous. And as you all know, I'm a big fan of interplanting. This is one of the beetroot beds. This one will be left to maturity, so we'll probably finish harvesting this one sort of June, late June, July time. And at that point these salad onions will also be ready. And then finally for the allotment, I think these are my January sown Red Baron main crop onions, and they're looking really nice. They did start off under a cold frame. They've just got a netted top on now at the moment just to keep the birds off. And down there we've got the same Red Baron onion sets, basically the same planting density as these, so roughly 90 to 100 onions per square metre. And if you're looking at this and you're thinking, well, what are all the variety names that I've sown? Well, I have a new section in my ebook now called reference information at the back. And so if you look at any particular month, let's say April, I've got sections going through what we harvested in April, what we sowed in April, and you can just click into these and you can get all the details. You can scroll through, and then what we planted out in April, and the tours of the allotment and the kitchen garden for April, the video showing me doing all the things that I'm going to sow in April, harvest videos for April, and then in case you want any more videos, then here's all the videos that I've made in the month of April in all of the years that I've been making videos, which I think is 3 or 4 years now. And I think this is particularly useful, this, because it allows you to kind of, go back and, look at things from the past, which are probably just as good as the recent videos that I've made, but are quite difficult to find. But they're actually really easy to find in this reference information section. And obviously it's also quite useful because you can see how my thinking has changed over the last 4 years. So there we go. So that's the reference information section of the book. So you can find that at the end here. So we're back at home now in my grow room conservatory, and I've got some tomatoes. These are latter, waiting to go to the allotment as soon as the car comes back from the garage. Got a courgette there, it's doing quite nicely. Quite a few courgettes on it. These are my early potatoes. I've got another one here, and I've actually just harvested one of them, and we got a really lovely harvest off it. Really nice big potatoes, and we've pretty much run out of potatoes in the store now, so that's really welcome. And then if you're interested in growing potatoes really early or late, then we're back in the book again, year-round growing guides, and just scroll down to potatoes all year round. And links to all these sections of the book you can find in the description below. Cucumber here, we've had quite a few cucumbers off there now, and then we've got another cucumber up here that's kind of trailing across there, and we leave it until it goes all the way across, and then we pinch out the tip. And yeah, I really like having cucumbers in here. And then on the windowsills, hopefully you can see now, we've got some of our peppers. These are chili peppers, sweet peppers, and all the windowsills in the house basically are currently full of peppers of various descriptions, and they're kind of ready to go out. I'm not going to go and sow peppers in January again. It is way too early. They get massive, and there's still quite a few weeks of growing in here before they get planted out, so I would much rather have them smaller than this. We've got quite a few courgettes growing in the polytunnel at the moment, but we've got just a few courgettes just germinating there, and that's our first sowing that's going to go outdoors. And some more beans for the polytunnel. They're spares just in case we lose any to the frost. And some more peppers. And then down here looking like celery, that's the celeriac, and the celery is planted out now in the polytunnel. And just a bit of parsley there. Some New Zealand spinach there. That's all the New Zealand spinach we need. It grows into quite big plants. And these are my main crop, tomatoes. So I'm not planning to plant them out for another month, and by then they'll look like my early tomatoes. And these are the early tomatoes, and I actually have space for quite a few of these early crop ones, and I won't need all of these, but as any space now opens up in the polytunnel, either in containers or in beds, I'm going to start planting out these early plants, and I can afford to do that because they're all pretty much spares. These are my test sowing for germination, and if they live, they live, and if they don't live, then the main crop ones that you've just seen will take their place. And the only issue I've had are these, and basically they just died, and this is what's left of them. And it's just these two varieties, and it was Apricot Dream and Indigo Pear Drop, and I've no idea what happened to them. I mean, they're basically sown the same time as these, grown in the same place as these, and they looked as good as these when I pricked them out, and I had about 6 of each, and there's only 2 have survived, so I've no idea really what happened to those. Some more peppers. These are the February sown ones, and they look a lot better. Quite a lot of seedlings outside now. So these are my ochre, and these can't stand frost, so I've got a bit of fleece here just in case. These obviously are geraniums, and these are Red Baron onion sets. Most of our sets are just go straight into the ground, but the ground wasn't ready for them, so I had to put them in modules. And then we've got some Zebrun onions. Got this little greenhouse here, and this is where I stick things that I don't know what to do with them because I've got no space for them, or I'm just leaving them to harden off, and you can see they need watering. They always seem to need watering. So I've got some spinach here, there's various different types of chard there, some golden beetroot there. Again, ideally these wouldn't be out here, but I just don't have any space. And then I've got my brassicas just hardening off, and as I said, in need of a water. So colettes here, lots of kales and things here, Brussels sprouts and the like, more Brussels sprouts, some spare onions, don't know what to do with them, and more spares. And then under the grow lights, and they don't need to be under grow lights, but again it's just space, I've got my golden purslane, red vein sorrel, kales, more kales down there, more Brussels sprouts down there, and my next batch of lettuces, or 2 batches of lettuces actually, one that's not germinated and one that's germinated at the back. That's about ready for pricking out now. Been chitting my sweet corn, you can see it's just starting to shoot here, and I've just planted this up. This is just going in the bin, and so I've got, I think, 36, 45 sweet corn. There's some of them now. I've just planted those chits, and I like to plant my sweet corn out at about 4 weeks old, and so I don't put it in root trainers because they don't really hold together the roots very well at 3 to 4 weeks old in root trainers, so I much prefer them in modules. And yeah, I like to plant them just after the last frost date. So for more information on sowing, I recommend you take a look at my little ebook, and you want the basics section, and there I go through planning, sowing, growing with lights, hardening off, planting, looking after the soil, dealing with pests, weeds, and growing under cover. And the sowing section is probably the one you'd be most interested in right now, and it goes through all of the different things that I use, the compost that I use, different types of compost, and all the different equipment that I use, and all the techniques. So I hope you like this quick video. My name's Steve, this is the Seaside Kitchen Garden and Allotment channel, and I'll see you soon.